You're going to be mad at me, and I don't want you to be mad, but we've got to talk about it. We've got to talk about Brandon Aiyuk going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, we're not going to get into the rumor mill. We're not going to get into the clickbaity nonsense. We're not going to do that today. What we're going to talk about is how we got here. So basically what we're going to do is, what would the Steelers look like with a draft? What do they look like if not with the draft, but with the trade? If they trade Brandon Aiyuk, what do the Steelers look like, man? We know what they look like now. We've got an idea of what the Steelers look like right now. But if they make this trade, let's talk about what the Steelers look like. First off, let's start here. How did we get here? How did we get here with Brandon Aiyuk? Well, the first thing is, when he got drafted, he was a first-round pick. I would bet there's a lot of people that didn't know that he was actually a first-round pick. He was out of Arizona State. And that's why he wants to play with Jaden Daniels, because they played together at Arizona State. So I would venture to say half the NFL fans that pay attention and even know who Brandon Aiyuk is, they didn't know that he was a first-round pick. Well, he was. Okay. He was also immediately in the doghouse. Why was he in the doghouse? I don't know. I know Kyle Shanahan tried to come out and say that he wasn't, but yet the guy wasn't on the football field. So he's not in the doghouse, but you're not playing him. Tell me something else, Kyle. Don't just keep giving us coach speak. And if you don't want to say, just say you don't want to say. It's an eternal matter, and let's move on. But he was clearly in the doghouse. Now, the next thing is, how did we get here? How did we get here? Well, I think the first part of that is Brandon Aiyuk saw everybody getting paid, and he wants a new contract. He's on the last year of his deal. He's making good money. $14 million is obviously nothing to sneeze at, but he wants more money. He wants to get paid like he's seen Justin Jefferson, Amon St. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown. He wants to go out and get paid. And that's understandable. It's his turn, but you got to take a little bit of a deeper dive into it, people. We really got to look at the minutia, should we say, of what's going on here. Now, in San Francisco, right now, let's go down the pecking order. When San Francisco wants to move the football, first off, they're going to run it with Christian McCaffrey. The second option, they want to throw it to Christian McCaffrey, okay? The third option, they want to run it with Deebo Samuel. Now, you could say that Aiyuk is the fourth option that they're going to throw the football to when it's time to move the football. You could say that Brandon Aiyuk is the fourth option. You could say he's the fifth, but we'll just say that he's fourth ahead of George Kittle. But those first three are absolutely the case. So when you think about it, and I'm sure this is what the 49ers are thinking, okay, hold on a second. You're the fourth option on our football team. Now, granted, two of those are with one guy, but it doesn't matter. You're the fourth option. Why do we want to pay that $30 million? What world is somebody paying a fourth option $30 million? They're not doing that. And I believe they're not going to do that. And that's part of this, is that the 49ers they're basically putting their feet in the sand and saying, no, we like you. We think you're a great player, but we're not going to break the bank for you. Now, they also have problems because we all know they got to pay Brock Purdy. Now, Brock Purdy also seems like the type that he might take a team-friendly deal and take a little less so he can continue to surround good players with. If he's smart, he's doing that. Again, I don't begrudge anybody for taking as much money as they possibly can. But what I will say is, if Patrick Mahomes can take less, he can take less too. That's the next guy can too. And I know Mahomes has $1 trillion more dollars that he gets from, off the field stuff, but whatever. If he can take less, he'll take less. And look at this list here of guys that have gotten paid. A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith. Justin Jefferson's not even on this list. He just got paid. CeeDee Lamb, which somebody tried to say that somehow that Brandon Aiyuk was better than CeeDee Lamb. I'm like, are you watching football? Like, they're in no universe is he better than CeeDee Lamb. And again, that's not saying that Brandon Aiyuk is a bad football player, but he is not CeeDee Lamb. He's just not. And that's okay. But man, there's some craziness going on out there. It's got some people's brains all twisted up with this whole trade nonsense. But yeah, look at those numbers. Are you willing to give Brandon Aiyuk that? The 49ers are not. And not only that, the 49ers have gone out and said, okay, you want to get paid this kind of money? Go find it. Go find it somewhere. Well, I think some other teams are like, we like you, we want you, but we're not going to pay you this. We're not going to give you that. And then that's part of the problem on some of the things that are going here. He wants more money. He deserves more money. He deserves a long-term contract. He does. But for what he's asking for, I just don't think the 49ers don't want to give it to him. And if I'm the Steelers, I would be very reluctant to do the same thing, especially in the type of offense that we run. And we'll get to that here in a minute. But that's what's going on right now. So, and that's the reason that the 49ers don't want to pay him, is look where he is in the offense, in the pecking order, and how much money he's asking for when we've got other things that we need. That's what it's coming down to, people. It's unfortunate, but it's just the truth. It's the truth. So what does he look like if he were to get traded? What would Brandon Aiyuk in a Steelers uniform look like? Well, let's break that down. First off, we know that we're going to have to give up some draft capital. That's number one. But number two, I'm guessing the Steelers are going to have to trade a guy or two. We've talked about this at length on some lives on what we wouldn't do. 2 draft picks and 2 players is way too much. Plus $30 million on top of that. Yeah, no. But they're going to have to take something. They're going to get something. Do you trade Dan Moore Jr.? Do you trade a James Daniels per se? There was talk about Alex Highsmith. I think there's no way in hell that the Steelers are going to do that. Do you trade a young guy? I don't know. It's like the 49ers could use some help on the offensive line. They've asked about Calvin Austin Jr. That was the rumor that was going around, is that they wanted 2 seconds, James Daniels and Calvin Austin in a trade. Come on. No. But that's what was going on. Also, is it going to happen? Look, Mike Tomlin, again, he gives us coach speak all the time. But part of coach speak is when they asked him about a trade, is there a trade going on for Brandon Aiyuk? He literally just said, I'll let you guys speculate about that. Well, why would he say that? Like, why would he create possible turmoil / friction / the unknown inside of his own locker room? Why would he do that? I mean, Mike Tomlin doesn't seem like a guy that would create it. I'm not saying there hasn't been problems inside of a Mike Tomlin locker room, but it wasn't something that he threw out to the media to try to create it. He hasn't done that. And all he had to say was, hey, I'm focused on the guys that are in the locker room now, and we are very comfortable with these guys. He could have said that, and that would have been the end of it, because there would have been no speculation like I'm doing right now. I couldn't have done that. But Mike Tomlin didn't say that, people. All he said was, I'll let you speculate on it. Well, if we're and then kind of had a little shit-eating grin on his face. Okay. Well, if we're going to speculate, the Steelers seem like they got something cooking here. That's where I'm coming down with it. I think they got something cooking. I don't think they got to give up the world for Brandon Aiyuk. I think it's a mistake. But does he help us? Yeah. Yeah, he does. He helps us. And even though we got to give up some stuff to get him, let's not kid ourselves. Brandon Aiyuk and George Pickens turns into a top 5, top 6 wide receiver duo in the National Football League, if not higher. With some competent quarterback play and a good offensive line, yeah, that's something. Now, depending on where they're at, who knows? I'm just saying all of that. I mean, if Brandon Aiyuk is on the Steelers are better. Is he the missing piece to going to a Super Bowl? I don't think so. Because if he was, I would say we could give up a first-round pick for Brandon Aiyuk. And now nothing's guaranteed, so I'm not trying to pigeonhole you or anybody else into saying something like that. But if the Steelers had been so good, and then, hey, man, we get Aiyuk, this is going to put us right over the top into the Super Bowl, then I'd give up a first-round pick for that. But are we that close? I'm not saying we can't make a Super Bowl run. You damn well know that I hope we can make a Super Bowl run or that we do make this Super Bowl run. But we haven't been close to that in years. Is Brandon Aiyuk changing that? For instance, if Aiyuk is on the team last year, are the Steelers sitting in the Super Bowl? Probably not. Not probably. Hell no, they're not. Now, him being on the team this year, I mean, we'll see. I think they have a better opportunity this year than they did last year, clearly. But I don't know, man. I don't know. It's tricky. I like Aiyuk. I think he's a great football player. Not a good one, a great football player. But for what we got to give up, including the money that we're going to have to sign him with, it's dicey. It's dicey. But I think you can get by with it because, again, the salary cap keeps going up. We're going to pay a quarterback, but it's not going to be one of these crazy quarterback, contracts where a guy's getting $55 million. We're not going to do that, whether it's Russ or Justin Fields or somebody else. We're not going to be doing that. So if you're not going to be doing that, well, then what? You got some room to pay some people. We'll see. And we know George Pickens is coming up. TJ Watt is going to be coming up. That's why I'm saying it's a slippery slope with this Aiyuk trade. But does he make the Steelers better? Yeah, he makes us better, man. He just does. Is it a high price to pay? Yep. But sometimes there's no reward without some risk. And sometimes you got to take a risk. And I think a lot of Steeler fans are they're not going to settle for just winning a playoff game. But if we can win a playoff game and have hope that we could possibly go to the Super Bowl, that's what we want. We haven't had that hope lately. And it is sad. And it's time to get some of that. And if Aiyuk brings that to the table, then damn it, we need to do it.